To the Radio Misfits show hey, it's James. Radio Misfits for a Tuesday night. I'm Pugs Moran.
Look, that's me.
Or Muggs Poran. I don't know. What did you do today? You're Rigo Tony. I like that. What is it? You know what? It's about time that we start. James and I have been in this sort of unspoken Cold War where we try and outdo each other with silly names. It's never spoken of. It's never been anything that's been mentioned. But I have to tell you, there are times when I will be driving down the road and I'll go, what name am I going to come up with tonight? And I often wonder, does James stress that much about it? But tell me, what is a Rigo Tony? What is that a reference to? Am I missing it or I like it?
Say it fast.
Rigo Tony.
Stupid.
Both me and my son have colds. And mine just came on this afternoon. All right, so here's the deal. Usually we got a guy. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Byron. Come on in the chat room. Come on. Usually we have a third E. He may or may not join us. It all depends. We'll see. So it may just be old Rigo Tony and Muggs Paran.
We get right into it. Enough with the pleasantries.
Hold on. What happened, Byron? What's going on? What? Okay, never mind. This is for another thing. Go ahead, James. Jump in. Take the lead, man. Go ahead. I'm coughing over here.
So the Cowboys just traded for Trey Lance. And by the Cowboys, I mean Jerry Jones, without consulting his head coach. Wow. And so, man, this brings up all kinds of, like, you think you got a bad boss, you know?
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So,
does everyone know the story or should you set the table?
Yeah, that's okay. So over the weekend, the San Francisco 49ers cut bait on Trey Lance, who was, of course, the number 3 overall pick 2 years ago, whatever it was. He was number 3 overall pick. And it's not just that the 49ers, after 2 years with Trey Lance, have decided to walk away from him. I mean, that's a number 3 pick. That's huge. But they traded away everything to move up in the draft to get the 3rd pick to take Trey Lance, who they would then just 2 years later trade away to the Cowboys for, what did they get, a 4, a 6? I'm not even sure what they got. It wasn't anything that was a 4. Okay, you get talent in the 4th round. You absolutely can. But, I mean, this is – look, you're kind of going after Jerry Jones here, but I have to say the upside on Trey Lance is fantastic. And – what's that got? 1 more year? He's got 1 more year? I mean,
this is the litmus test year.
Yeah.
Look, I don't mind getting Trey Lance. My problem is the process by which he has been thrust upon the Cowboys. And I can't say thrust upon the Cowboys because the dude owns them. But, dude.
Okay, so you don't like that the San Francisco 40, because this is how it went down. And it is fascinating. And it is one of the things that Dallas Cowboys has – in their little bouquet of uniqueness. It's that the general manager is the owner. Jerry Jones, he makes all the deals. When teams want to make a deal, they don't call the executive wing of wherever their building is. They call directly to Jerry Jones, and Jerry, how you do it? And Jerry picks up, you know what I mean? And he just wheels and deals. James, I have to say this about, I don't like that process either, because it certainly does marginalize a coach. And, it's a good thing NFL head coaches don't have egos, or that might be a problem.
I hope you don't have an ego anymore, McCarthy, because you don't deserve one. You just got rolled. You're a court eunuch.
Here's what I got to say about this, though. In this situation, man, you got to say yes. I think you got to say yes no matter what. And if you're Jerry Jones and they called you first, you got to be thinking, the next guy they call is going to say yes, because a 4th for Trey Lance, the upside on Trey Lance is fantastic. And even
but here's the pushback, and it's obvious, and I know you know this, but the reason they were willing to let Trey Lance go is they had the quarterback corral going in San Francisco, and Trey Lance ended up 3rd behind Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Well, but there's a couple of moving parts there. The emergence of Brock Purdy, that just upset the entire table. Nobody expected that guy to become QB1 in San Francisco. I mean, certainly Jimmy Garoppolo didn't. Certainly Trey Lance didn't. I mean, they're all that system in San Francisco, as run by Kyle Shanahan, that is a very unique system. And you have to be a quarterback who has certain skills to truly excel in that system. The very first guy to prove it was unknown draft pick turned NFL superstar Colin Kaepernick. That's what Kyle Shanahan did with him. He came out of Nevada, a nobody quarterback, and because he had the particular skill set for that Shanahan system, he excelled. We saw it again in Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy didn't have the skill sets for other, other teams weren't interested in it. But Kyle Shanahan saw something and went, let's take him in the fifth. And look, now he's their starter. Well, Trey Lance is a super athlete who simply just may not be a Kyle Shanahan super athlete. Now he's a Jerry Jones super athlete, and that's good. Dude, put him back on kick returns. I mean, seriously, he's like, he was compared to Justin Fields, and he was taking 7 picks higher than Justin Fields. That's how in San Francisco was on this guy.
Well, in his first 2 years, he only played in 8 games. He's had 100 passing attempts, so we really just don't know about this guy. And both of those were injuries, right? Or
yeah. No, he was banged up. He can't stay healthy. He's been okay when he's been out there. He's looked like a rookie, and which is what he is. We don't know, man. That's why it's so fascinating. This guy could really be the 3rd pick, or he might just be an example of NFL scouting arrogance. But whatever, for a 4th rounder, you gotta take this flyer. And I'm glad the call went immediately to Jerry Jones.
So you don't think you should have checked in with the head coach?
I think that 99.9 other times, yes, absolutely, he ought to pay the respect. But this was a situation where San Francisco was just going to hang up with Jerry and call somebody else, and somebody else might have given him a 3rd. I mean, people were going to jump at this. This was a big deal that San Francisco was admitting that they failed and that they made a mistake and they were moving on. Woo. Well, one man's garbage, right?
He's got the injury bug.
Yeah.
He can't take a job from, Sam Darnold went high in the draft, but Brock Purdy was literally Mr. Irrelevant last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hope he works out. I do like the idea of that going, hey, why are you exercising any time and effort and resources into the quarterback position? You know why, Dak?
Well, Dak's in line for a huge contract in a year or two. It's coming up, and I don't think Jerry has seen enough. Now, I'm a big Dak defender. I love Dak. I think, my God, you got this kid out of what's that?
Same. I'm a very pro Dak, but 8 years is enough. Next.
Oh, you think next? Okay, see, I don't think next. I don't think that any of the failures of the Cowboys over the past few seasons can be directly linked to Dak's play. Maybe his injuries, maybe the fact that he wasn't playing, but it wasn't Dak's play. It was bad coaching. It was a defense that was so iffy. Like you never. My point is this: I think Dak's a great quarterback, and I think that he's a Cowboy legend, and I think he should be. I think these have been some very good Cowboys teams the last couple of years. They've been fun teams to watch, and we both know that not all Cowboy seasons are like that. So, yeah.
I think he has to get to the NFC Championship game, or we're going to lose patience with him. And by we, I don't mean just me. I mean just collectively. What are we supposed to give him now? 9 years? But
the question becomes, what's better next? See, oh my God, James Parker, you lifelong Cowboy fan, you are spoiled. You are talking to a Bear fan. We've had one quarterback in the last 60 years that has been any good. We are just a revolving door of quarterbacks. And we learned the hard way. There ain't a quarterback tree, James. You don't just get luck. The Cowboys have been blessed, whether we're talking Meredith through Staubach to Aikman. Man, Tony Romo was like a nothing out of Eastern Illinois who just somehow put on the Cowboy star and became a pretty serviceable quarterback in the NFL for a bunch of years. And then you did the same with Dak Prescott. You guys are spoiled, so go ahead, make your quarterback mistakes.
Well, it may, in hindsight, show that Dak Prescott is just this generation's Danny White, and we need to go ahead and flush the toilet and start drafting. I mean, look, I'll give him another couple years.
Danny White was great. Danny White was great.
What did he win?
team wasn't hungry anymore. The team won everything with Roger. That team was all high on cocaine and battling venereal diseases. They weren't playing for Danny White. They were doing Love Boat appearances. Are you insane? Danny White got screwed. He was a good quarterback.
Well, Danny White, didn't he make it to 2 NFC Championship games?
I don't know. I just remember I was a little kid and I thought Danny White was good. Yeah. So
well, Dak Prescott's good.
Dak Prescott is good, and that's what I'm saying. Don't. Here's what I'm saying. You want to just move on from Dak Prescott, but also seem to be lamenting the acquisition of Trey Lance. I would say to you, as someone eager to move on from Dak Prescott, you just got a really good potential next option. So, and here's going to be the problem, right? If the Cowboys start to fail for whatever reason, and God forbid Dak Prescott even slips up, man, the chance in AT&T Stadium for Trey Lance can be awful. I think Dak has always been disrespected, but you know, I like Dak.
I don't know. I think he's pretty universally loved, but everyone has a clock.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, don't get greedy, my friend. Tom Brady played for like 20 years. You should not get greedy. There ain't another one out there. Hey, I want to talk about something here. James, this is a big thing going viral today. Excuse me. It's the situation I just actually was so ranted up about it in the last couple hours that I did a special YouTube video of it where I was ranting. So I wanted to give you a chance. I wanted to talk to you about it. Are you familiar with the Gadsden flag controversy that has gone viral today out of Colorado Springs?
Some kid got kicked out of school or sent home from school because he had a flag on his backpack.
Yeah. Jalen is his name. Jalen's, first of all, this is the Vanguard School. This is a fancy school. It's one of the top ranked schools in Colorado, private school. So there are no school boards, so it's all just like, faculty and administration and that kind of thing. Or maybe there's a board of directors. I don't know. Do you know how that works? You got kids that even in private school?
Oh my God, no.
Okay. Yeah. I guess you're right. Sorry. Didn't mean to lead you down that dark hallway of reality.
Well, no, I'm just saying like I could afford that.
So little Jalen, who, by the way, James, and this was the thing that I thought was kind of cool. Jalen is a white kid. How rare is the white Jalen? I mean, every other Jalen, and, I've done the Jalen math, and patient X for Jalen is Jalen Rose of the Fab Five, the Michigan freshman. After Jalen Rose became a famous guy in like 1995, every Black American family that had babies named at least one of them Jalen. And now we've got millions of Jalens. It's a name that didn't exist. Here tonight, an example of it crossing over the color boundary. Look at that. Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
There's some beautiful overlap between, especially more suburban and rural white and Black America.
Wait, you know white Jalen's?
I don't know if I know specifically a white Jalen, but there's a lot of ambiguous names. Like I'm married to a Monique.
Yeah, but isn't she from Louisiana? That's like very French.
We're not in Louisiana here in Bug Tussle. And I knew another white Monique growing up. But, there's also like ethnically ambiguous names like Derek and Leroy that are more popular out here in the sticks than they are in the big city.
You know what else is very rare? The white Vanessa. It exists. It's out there. I'm not saying they're extinct. Okay, there you go. Vanessa Bayer as well from Saturday Night Live. But in my experience growing up, like every other girl was named Vanessa and they were all Black girls.
Well, I bet your son goes to school with a lot of crusty white people named Aiden, Braden, Jalen, Peyton, Caden.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That is so funny. You know what I'm going to make? Oh, I'm going to make it and I'm going to sell them. How great of an idea is this? Okay, so I'm going to a lot of high school football games now, and I'm seeing a lot of it's freshman ball. So, it's not as important. So how about this? How about a bingo card that I can hand out to people in the stands with Radio Misfits on it? And it'll have anytime the public address announcer announces someone named Aiden, or whatever, we'll figure out a game. Doesn't have to be bingo. But yeah, man, those names are everybody's a Caleb. You know how many Calebs there are on my kids' team? 3.
Is there a lot of Calebs?
3 Calebs.
Oh man, my kids go to school with 3 girls named Aaliyah, and this town ain't that big.
Oh my God, are they Black girls or white girls?
I think they're all Black.
Oh, okay. See, they'd be more interested. That I get because Aaliyah's like a cultural icon in R&B, and you know.
I married when she was 15. It's nothing weird about that.
Okay, see, you know, why are you identifying? You are just reducing people
It's
to their
weird.
worst trait. Their biggest
You
mistake.
name your kid after that. It is a pretty name. I get it, and she sings beautiful, and I love her music.
And
But
she's
I don't
beautiful.
know. That's not what I want my kid googling,
All right,
popping up with Google their name.
I got you. We have that problem with my son Mason. I would tell you about how my son Mason's name got ruined.
Yes, because the Kardashian had a kid like 2 days later and named him Mason. Now you're screwed. All right. So did Aiden, Braden, Jaden, Peyton, Gaten, whatever, have the Gadsden flag on his backpack?
Yeah. Okay, so he had the Gadsden flag on his backpack, and his mom seems a bit of an activist because she was recording the whole thing and she made it go viral, and now suddenly, you know, she's probably gonna pop up on everything from, I don't know, how about this? Everything that's not MSNBC. You know, she'll pop up on all the other stuff. Just probably not MSNBC. And that's the whole point of this thing. So this kid is in trouble at this private school because the private school has a policy that bans the Gadsden flag. This is an American school that is teaching American kids, and it bans the Gadsden flag. And the mom was so freaked out by this. She was like, what? Well, she filmed it. And the what we'll watch, you want to watch it? We can watch the video. It's the administration sitting down and explaining. Now the sound is a little bit low, so let's all be quiet. It's the administrator explaining the policy of banning the Gadsden flag, and it just turns out that she doesn't even know what it is. That she is allowing some crazy narrative that is completely fabricated. She's a teacher and she doesn't know. She thinks so. You want to watch this? Here, we'll watch this.
Sure.
This is little what's his name? Jaden. That's right. Still very cool. All right. So this comes out of the Vanguard School, Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is Jaden. It's being recorded by his mom. There's a little baby in it. Enjoy.
The reason that they do not want the flag, the reason we do not want the flag displayed is due to its origins with slavery and slave trade. That is what was, that's the reasoning behind why we do not want this displayed. The Gadsden.
Okay, we need to stop on that and just explain what just happened. This teacher said that the Gadsden flag is banned in the school because of its origin story with the slave trade. And what else did she say, James?
Just a slave trade?
Just a slave. Was that it? Okay.
The Don't Tread on Me.
Okay. Which is the Gadsden flag. Okay, so he
Jaden's laughing.
what's gonna happen if he doesn't take it off?
He is able to go. I was actually just telling him, like, I was upset that he was missing so much school. I'm like, so I asked if can he just take his stuff out of his bag and go back to class. Like, I just want him to go back to class.
Okay, so the compromise here is let's just have Jaden compromise his principles starting from an early age. He can go back to class. He just has to take the books out of the book bag. The book bag, James, the inanimate object, the book bag, is not allowed in the class. That is the compromise. As long as
if it had a swastika on it, you know, that would be pretty disruptive, and I could understand. So it's not the case that you shouldn't be able to ban bags based on some signal that's on them. This is the symbol inherently offensive is the real question here.
Mm-hmm. And the school says it is because of its origins with the slave trade. So let's go back and
the bag can't go back. It's got a patch on it because we can't have that in and around other kids. So that's what
can't have the patch around other kids.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with slavery. That's like the revolution.
Okay, now Mom's giving the history lesson.
Fighting the British, like that's the revolution. Maybe you're thinking of like the Confederate flag.
Okay.
All right, James, did you hear what she said there?
Yeah, she said this is from the Revolutionary War. Perhaps you're thinking of the Confederate flag.
Yeah, maybe you're thinking of the Confederate patch.
I am
Is there
just
history
here
to
to
it?
enforce.
Tell me.
No, I am here to enforce the policy that was provided by the district, and definitely you have every right to not agree with it. I mean,
Yeah, because the ACLU says that he's allowed to wear it.
Oh, now she's dropping the ACLU in there.
It's like says in big
So
letters.
all I'm saying is that
Unless there's like a ban on patches, period, like if you said there's no patches allowed at the school, you cannot display what you think or anything like that, or what cheer, or anything like that. I think it's like one-sided, you know, because you allow some patches, but not other
kids
patches.
have patches like other names and like the American flag on their backpacks.
Yeah. That was like flown during the revolution with, yeah, I just don't understand that at all.
so what I can do is
And if you go onto the ACLU's website, yeah, let's talk to
I
someone,
can,
because
I
I
can
don't
have
want a
you speak
lawsuit, I really
to,
don't.
I can have you speak to Jeff Yoakum
Okay.
again,
Okay.
and then he can refer you to our person at the district.
Okay.
Because like I said, we're following district policy, is what we're doing. So, the last thing I want is him out of class.
Yeah, I know.
Now
that's
she's
all
passing it off on the
he
public
has
school
classes,
district that
he
they're
has studies,
associated with.
He wants to get straight A's.
Did you hear that?
He made honorable when he was here before. He intends to do that again right now, but it's hard because he keeps missing class for this. So,
I understand that.
yeah, and I mean, we teach him to always stick up for your beliefs, and I mean, you're going over the revolution for 7th grade. I mean, the founding fathers stood up for what they believed in against unjust laws. This is unjust.
Okay, like I said, we are upholding a policy that was provided to us, which we have to uphold.
Okay, can you show me where the policy?
All right, so that's basically it. James, the floor is yours. Go.
I hate both of these people. Both of these people are a stain on society and a reason why we can't just have nice things and get along and have a freaking dinner party and not have someone blow it up. I loathe the teacher for pretending to be offended by a flag that she was just told 6 minutes ago had its origins in slavery erroneously. And this other woman who thinks she is carrying the torch of the founding father by putting a patch on Jalen's backpack
Right.
in private
She's a
school.
little
It's just equally as
self-righteous.
annoying. It's totally just so full of herself. You know, some people stand for their principles. It's a private school. They could make you wear red socks every day if they want to. They could put a uniform on Jalen. This patch stuff is silly. You're bored. You're looking for some sort of higher meaning in your life, and you think that you're going to take a stand against this world that has abrased you long enough, and you're just fucking irritable and lashing out. And that's what both of y'all are doing. You both are just like the same opposite side of the same Karen coin.
Yeah. All right. Not bad. I like it. That's
Thank you.
Well, my offense wasn't so much with the individuals, although I completely agree with everything that you just said there. My problem had more to do with the fact that the person representing the school, the person representing the educator, doesn't know. You know, just you know what I mean? The policy is based on something that isn't true. That flag is a symbol from the Civil War. That's simply not true. We all know there's a Ben Franklin's flag. It was the flag of the first Secretary of the United States Navy. That's how it became synonymous with our military. It means F you, King George. That's what that flag means. Don't tread on me.
You know, I
she didn't know it, and she's teaching kids.
Right. Well, I worked in talk radio so long that I don't want to be a correctorson and say you're wrong because you got some certain fact wrong at this one time because you probably overheard it from a source that's been
But
correct.
this
for you
time
many
it's
times.
school policy, James.
It's not school policy because and see that's what the part of the reason I hate the mom. Of course the teacher's wrong and she's loathsome and she's just so smarmy about it too. Being wrong, just watch her be like, well, you know, making that face like, well, you know, just so offensive and has its origins in slavery. Yeah, but what are you, pro-slavery? The mom should have just immediately said two things. Number one, show me in writing, show me the school policy where it says this flag is offensive because it doesn't exist. And number two, pull out your phone and Google the damn flag for 5 seconds before you drag my fat ass up here from work.
Well,
why didn't you say either one of those things? It would be the end of the argument because she's wrong on both points.
Kids put patches on their backpacks. It's a thing that they do. And you know, I believe that kids should be allowed to be individuals. And you know, kids unlike adults don't have a whole bunch of ways to sort of define themselves in the greater world. So what do kids do? They dress a certain way, they cut their hair a certain way, they have certain patches on their backpack. I am completely against the censorship of any of those things for kids, man. Let kids just be kids. Let them just be who they are. Now, I have to ask, does that school allow pride patches? Or like a BLM patch or an environmentalist patch, because these are also patches that certain people could be offended by. And if they do allow them, they're not only stupid, but they're hypocrites.
Yeah, but again, there's the private school argument over they can make whatever
Of course.
stupid rules they want, and they can make it lopsided and not fair and biased and partisan and as political as they freaking want. And mom, you do have a big weapon at your disposal. You can withdraw your kid and send your tuition elsewhere.
Yeah, you're specifically paying to send your kid to this school. You want to go to war with it? That's uncool for your kid. Not going to make him popular in the lunchroom.
And that's a third thing that could have been said that was better than her reaction. Her stupid little, I'm standing on principles of the founding fathers. No, explain to her that the policy she's making up in her head doesn't exist.
Well, but what if it does? I mean, what if it does exist? I mean,
where they actually spelled out the Gadsden flag? Oh, well, then you probably need to withdraw your kid from that school instead of just butt your head against this brick wall like a freaking billy goat.
Right.
And again, make her Google the origins of the flag. It existed long before the Civil War. I don't think it has any association with the Civil War that I know of, but I get crap like this wrong all the time. You know what I would do? I would Google it. And if I was sitting across from a person getting it wrong, I'd be like, listen, I'm not trying to be an ass. Just pull out your phone and Google
it. Please look at it.
I'll Google it and hold it up to you. But I mean, you're just factually wrong. So I need you to accept that before we go further with this conversation. Figure out if Jalen can keep his backpack.
The governor, Democratic Governor Jared Polis, has chimed in on this issue in his state that has gone viral. Here's what the governor of Colorado has to say. Obviously, the Gadsden flag is a proud symbol of the American Revolution. Like, just from the outset, the governor wants everyone to know, I know what the Gadsden flag is. I know a lot of you idiots don't, but I do. And we're going to I know I'm a moderate liberal Democrat, but I just want to establish I know what it is. He goes on to say, it is an iconic warning to Britain or any government not to violate the liberties of Americans. It appears on popular American medallions and challenge coins through today, and Ben Franklin also adopted it to symbolize the union of the 13 colonies. That's the governor of Colorado. Great answer. Great. When he's asked, what do you think of this whole thing? Do you disagree? I think that's a great answer.
Read it again, but really fast.
Obviously, the Gadsden flag is a proud symbol of the American Revolution and an iconic warning to Britain and any government not to violate the liberties of Americans. It appears on popular American medallions and challenge coins through today, and Ben Franklin also adopted it to symbolize the Union of 13 colonies.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's a good little rundown. Does everyone know what challenge coins are?
Yeah. Well, explain, because I don't speak for the chat.
I know so little about these, but I've had a handful of military veterans come hand me a challenge coin at various radio events, and they explain to me how this is like it's like a dog peeing on a hydrant from their little society within the subculture of military veterans. And I've held on to them. I have two of them actually.
Very nice. Good, but the response from the governor, I mean, pretty much, I think that's the kind of response that we need from people who are. First of all, it's an absurd thing to be dragging the governor in to, right? At this level, it's just a kid.
Oh, if you're the governor, you're happy. You're like, I can't get this one wrong.
But he can, because a lot of liberals are mad. They're mad. They agree with this.
Are a lot of liberals anti-Gadsden flag? Is that a common thread that people think it's associated with the Civil War?
It's become associated with January 6th in the minds of certain people who only have the history of the past 5 years, right? Those like younger people, maybe they think it's a January 6th thing, or that's all they associate it with. Now, maybe it's because of this. Look at this. So I've got a list here, James. These are moments in popular culture throughout our history here in America where the Gadsden flag was used as a symbol of, you're a good American, or you're like, okay. So starting out in the 1982 film Tootsie, Bill Murray, who played Tootsie's roommate, had a giant Gadsden flag displayed in his bedroom in the apartment that they shared together. In the 1985 film Rocky IV, when Rocky goes to Russia to fight Ivan Drago, Paulie walks into the ring with Rocky wearing the silk robe thing with the Gadsden flag on the back of it. Paulie would have been banned from school. I mean, Rocky would have been banned from school.
Well, it's weird because let me draw a parallel here with the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag is less tolerated than it was when we were children. When I was a kid, I thought of the Dukes of Hazzard when I saw the Confederate flag. You saw Tom Petty have a giant Confederate flag behind his stage when he was going on tour in the mid '80s. And he's no Confederate in the sense that he supports slavery.
Look, Leonard Skinner, it used to be a non-divisive symbol of the South, right? Because people didn't think it through. And then we started getting talk radio and 24-hour news channels, and people stopped having to think it through, and they had it just presented to them. And, it's like, oh, yeah, maybe that is. See, the difference between the Gadsden flag and the Confederate flag is that you can easily connect the Confederate flag to the oppression of Black Americans. And you can understand why Black American citizens would be like, what the man, right? You get that. The Gadsden flag is a symbol of America flipping off King George.
Right. But there's people who see the parallel. They're like, we got to nail him to the wall over the Confederate flag stuff, and they really regretted that. We'll get him again with this flag.
Well, that's disingenuous, and now we're talking about the problem.
Dude, you saw the lady's face though, talking to Jalen's mom. Then
but you know what? Look, I don't want to beat up on her because she's just a programmed robot who cashes a check every 2 weeks. She's got right. She's got a job, and how many of us have had jobs where we've had to just sort of repeat. I've had to fire people I didn't want to fire just because it was you know what I mean? It's like, sometimes you just do things. And I don't know what that woman believes, in her mind, in her heart of hearts, but I know that right there, she's a robot enforcing what her boss has told her is policy. That's all she's doing. But she doesn't know the origin of the Gadsden flag. And that became very apparent.
Well, this is what happened when a contemptible person from the left comes up against a contemptible person from the right, and I despise both of them. Just both of them.
Let me tell you,
the likable character in that's Jalen.
I was going to say, if you want to go back and watch that again, do not watch the adults. Just watch Jalen. Jalen is like sitting courtside at a tennis match. His head is going with everything. And when the teacher says something stupid, Jalen turns to his mom and his face slowly creaks into a smile because he knows that mom is about to fillet it's great. Jalen comes off awesome. But yeah, the adults, they're both idiots. All right, James, you got anything else?
Do you want to hear my story about volunteering in the concession stand on Friday? Or do you have some news, hard hitting stuff?
Well, I got some news. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this dude who shot Bin Laden getting arrested in Frisco. Did you know this story? This Robert O'Neill guy. So
I heard it when I was driving in on KRLD 1080 AM out of Dallas. I had heard the headline, just regular top of the hour news from CBS or Fox or whoever. But then I heard a 2-minute rundown of it on KRLD, and that's my extent of it. I didn't even read a story on it.
Okay, it's crazy, and there are a lot of choices for the story in the coverage of this particular. I chose the New York Post, James, because the New York Post is fun because they tell a story better than anyone else. I'm about 75% in on the facts they present, but whatever. They got big, colorful pictures. New York Post is great. However, I will say this: Ben and Skin were talking about this afternoon, and they did some really funny coverage of it. Not funny, but this is crazy because the details are a little nutty, and they're embarrassing, but whatever. Anyway, they're not only embarrassing, but they are potentially ugly. Anyway, well, here's the story. There's a lot of moving parts, James. I'm going to read it to you from the New York Post. Former Navy SEAL Robert O'Neill, who claims he fired the shots that killed Osama bin Laden, beat up a security guard and called him the N-word during an alcohol-fueled incident that resulted in his arrest after he passed out at a hotel bar in Texas last week. Okay, so now let me fill in some of the details because I've read a whole bunch of stories. He was in town doing a podcast. He was flown into town to do a podcast and put up at the Omni in Frisco, the Omni at the Star. So he's adjacent to the Cowboys facility and all that. But first of all, who's doing a podcast in this town that can afford to fly people in and put them up?
Yeah. So who's the podcast?
I was thinking it's probably the Blaze. It's probably Glenn Beck's operation because I'm like, that's no podcaster can do that. So
right, Joe Rogan, but he's in
right. Yeah,
Austin.
I mean, the Blaze would make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, I would think they do that all the time. They have crap tons of.
Isn't there some other like Salem people here too?
Yeah, you're right. There could be any number of that. Anyway, so that's what he was in town for, and he was staying at the Omni up there in Frisco, and apparently earlier, like for hours, he was like in Addison on Beltline. He was hitting up Dukes and Blackfin and all the places that aren't there anymore.
Right. The place that Sherlock's and Logan's. Yeah.
He's partying too. People are like, he was partying, man. He's like, I'm the guy. I'm the Bin Laden. That's like his whole thing.
I would ride that pony till I died. I'm the guy.
Okay, but it's a controversial thing because he doesn't have any friends. He's not a member in good standing of the Navy SEALs. He's they won't talk to him. You're not supposed to talk about it. It's the rule. It is the number one rule of Fight Club.
It is.
You do not talk about it. You do not bring glory on yourself for your actions as a SEAL. That is deadly serious, and that's why he's.
So does he run around doing that? I'm the guy.
Yeah,
bit?
He wrote the book about it and does all the interview. Why do you think he's being interviewed? I mean, that's why he's being flown in.
Hey, look, it's one thing if you do an interview about it here and there, but does he go to Addison Circle and just walk in? Hey, I'm the guy.
Oh no, I don't know. But he was.
Look, that's not against Navy. Right. I mean, that's not in line with Navy SEAL code. But it can't be like a demerit to you socially speaking.
Well, he was in town. He was in town to do a podcast about it. So I mean, he talks about it. If somebody walked up to him at Dukes and went, "Hey, you look like," he's like, I'm sure. You know what I mean? He's not
right. He doesn't have to, there's no negative to it. There's not a pro Bin Laden faction out there that's pissed off by his celebrating.
No. So anyway, so let's fast forward. So he's been partying and he is drunk and he gets dropped off back at the hotel, the Omni in Frisco, where he's staying. So he ain't turning in. He's gonna hit the Omni bar. So now he goes to the Omni bar, and like the hotel staff is like, he was falling down, he was banging into walls. And he goes and he sits down at the bar at the Omni bar and he promptly falls asleep. So now he's sleeping on the bar at the Omni. Now, the hotel were so concerned about his state that they offered a wheelchair to the security guard to put him in the wheelchair to get him up to his room. But then he started getting a little bit, I don't need your help. He's drunk. I mean, he's just shit hammered. We've all been shit hammered. I'm a nice huggy. I'm a huggy drunk. So, I'm not that, but what if some people are? We know they are. So, and he's a SEAL and he's seen some shit and I'm sure he's got some incredibly dark stuff. That's a really rough. Anyway, my point is this. He behaves very badly. And finally, one of the security guards is able to take him up to his room, not carry him, but arm under, come on, buddy, I got you. Come on, let's walk. We're walking this way. That kind of thing. Gets him up to the room and he tries to get his room key in the hotel door, but turns out he's using his credit card. he's using his credit card. So the security guard says to him, sir, if you can't find your room key, I'd be happy to go down and get you another room key. And apparently there was, this is my room key. And he's like, no, sir, that's a credit card. And it was at this point where the dude turned around, punched the guy in the chest, the security guard in the chest, and called him an effing N. Evan, you can guess what he said. The security guard at that point said, sir, you've just struck me. I have to call the police. And apparently it got a little bit more heated there where it was like, they're yelling at each other. Security guard removed himself from the situation. Frisco police showed up and he's being arrested. When Frisco police showed up, he told the Frisco police, they said, you know where you are? And he said, yeah, I'm in Addison. Like he thought he was still in Addison. Apparently Addison made an impact on him. It's now one of his favorite party districts. So that's what happened. So the security guard is not talking. The hotel is backing up everything the security guard says. The Hotel the Omni is saying, yes, we tried to even get him in a wheelchair. We did everything that we could. We wouldn't serve him at the bar when he showed up, so he fell asleep at the bar. So there you go. That's the story of Robert O'Neill, the guy who wait. Do you want to hear more of the details just so you can hear it the way the post is? Because I know some people don't trust me. And go ahead, unless you got some thoughts.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is you remember my friend Vitamin D, Dave. He has spent time in the Frisco, Plano, and Addison jail, and he says the Addison jail is preferable. He says it's so nice in the Addison jail that they leave a mint under your pillow.
Oh, how nice. Really? Now, isn't that interesting? We should have him on and talk about the different county lockups. I mean,
no, look, it's amazing because, Dallas, Lou Sterrett is just a gladiator pit.
Oh, I spent a night in there, man. You don't have to tell me.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, so right?
Yeah.
It's Thunderdome. But, there's gradations where there's Frisco and Plano, which are on that next level up. But the top level's Addison. And he was telling me, like, when he got back from the showers, they had folded up his towel into the shape of a little elephant.
Oh, nice. Nice. I would think that the Frisco jail might be a little bit, just because of all the cowboys that are in there. You would think maybe Jerry would donate a lot to make the jails nice.
They probably have an endowment from the Cowboys, right?
Just because, padded beds. Ooh, isn't this nice? Private bathrooms. Ooh, that's courtesy of
Best
Jerry Jones.
commissary in the state.
Yeah. So what do you make of this whole thing? This, because here's what
charge him with whatever you would charge a normal human being with. If I had gone up and punched a security guard,
right, of course, but he's not a normal human being. He is he has two things that are in conflict with one another right now. He is a recognized hero, American hero, a patriot, that kind of thing, right. And he is also a controversial loudmouth drunk with a history of DUIs and all of this. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And because I think that, he's one of these polarizing figures, and he shouldn't be because of the role that he played in that mission. But he is because he chose to be. It's not like he stepped out. He decided that he was going to be representative of a certain way of thinking. And so a lot of people hate him. And a lot of people, like I said earlier, can't do what I do, which is I refuse to define people by their absolute worst character. Whatever the worst, whatever you hate them the most about, look further. So this guy should be considered an American hero. However, dude, what he went through, and I'm not just talking about the glory of putting a bullet in bin Laden's head, right? I'm not talking, man, it's hard to be a SEAL. He was in Mogadishu. He was all over these places. He has seen some stuff. And the very idea that we would not even consider that he's got some issues and that maybe that's why he's drinking all the time, instead of using it against him, like, yeah, there's your hero, the drunk guy saying the N-word and punching people. But just for a moment, why couldn't we consider, man, I'm glad I didn't have to do what that guy did, because that guy's seen some stuff. That's just what I take from this.
Yeah, and just on that one raid alone, he saw 5 people get killed in face. And how many of y'all have watched someone get their face put a bullet through?
But it's the stuff we don't know. That war was awful. It's the stuff we don't know that he didn't write books about, that he saw every single day that he was there.
Right, but you can even remove that. And if I was the person of note and I made the news every time I did something horribly stupid and drunk, you would think very poorly of me too. Yeah. And it is with a gigantic boulder of salt that we should all judge any of these people that make the news. Like there's exceptions to that, of course, like a Casey Anthony or something. But, like Robert Downey Jr., we all thought he was a drunken waste of space that was headed straight for the toilet in an early grave in the late 80s, early 90s. And look at him now. People redeem themselves all the time. There's a lot of people that you're going to go to work with tomorrow that at their lowest point at some time in their 20s, they got blackout drunk and passed out and smashed through their friend's glass coffee table and, got all cut up and stuff. And just this judging people by their worst, you must be looking to hate on people.
That's the point. That's the point of being a polarizing figure in 2023 America. People are going to be looking for things to hate about you and things, So that's all I'm saying. I'm reading, a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of people doing scoreboard dancing. A lot of lefty types, the typical people that I see on the socials. And I just think, man, that's kind of this dude. There's obviously look at his history. There's obviously something going on here.
Hey, who craps on this guy though? Who craps on him for? No one craps on him for killing Osama, right?
Oh, the liberals hate him. No, well, they completely overlook that. That's they just hate him because
Trump stuff. He's
yeah, because he's a Trump guy. That's all. That's what it is. And I've been avoiding saying that, but that's because I don't want to. But see, now people who are listening to me,
story, yeah.
It is part of the story. It is part of the story. So, but that's what being polarizing is. Compassion is basically the thing that I'm getting at. There is no compassion for people who fall on the opposite side of the political line for you.
All right. You had more details?
Yeah, let's go back to the
New York Post.
Please. Former Navy SEAL Robert O'Neill, who claims he fired the shot that killed Osama bin Laden, beat up a security guard and called him the N-word during an alcohol-fueled incident that resulted in his arrest after he passed out at a hotel bar in Texas last week. The one-time hero hurled the racist slurs after he got inebriated and fell asleep at a bar Wednesday inside the Omni at the Star, directly adjacent to Dallas Cowboys headquarters in Frisco. An unnamed security guard who tried to help O'Neill to his room was assaulted and berated by the elite fighter. O'Neill turned to him, rose his fists in the air, and struck him in the chest with his right palm. The hotel security officer told police Robert called him an effing N when he struck me. The security guard backed away from O'Neill, saying, "I can't believe you just hit me." The former Special Operations Forces member then repeated the slur, the guard said. O'Neill said the allegation made by the security guard are not true. Okay, now this is what he says, and this is troubling if you break it down, but I understand it because it's a press release and, Here's what he said. "I have honorably and proudly served my country for half my life in battles all over the world." Okay, now that might be true, but this is about something else. This is about your behavior last night.
Right, right. And there's also people that can serve for half their life, battles all over the world, and then throw around the N-word casually.
Exactly. Thank you. These are not exclusive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. You're not making any case so far, but I get it. You're throwing down your credentials. It's like people who put PhD after their name. You're important. I got it.
He's dedicated to have his life to battles all over the world, standing shoulder to shoulder, James, with men of all races, religions, and sexual orientations, O'Neill told the Post. "The color of one's skin doesn't matter when your life is on the line. The idea that I would use a racial slur against anyone is so preposterous, so beyond offensive to not only..."
He's saying he didn't even say it at all.
Yeah. He's saying he didn't say it. And I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know. He's drunk.
He was that drunk. How do you remember?
Exactly. How do you know? He thought he was an Addison. So obviously, good lawyer is going to be like, he thought he was an Addison. Now you're saying he remembers what he said at the door? The color of one's skin doesn't matter when your life is on the line. The idea that I would use a racial slur against anyone is preposterous, so beyond offensive to not only myself, but all of my brothers who have served and fought with me. Look, he's roping in every soldier. There's probably soldiers out there like, "Hey, man, leave me out of this." Okay.
Well, I
don't. No, that's some insane narcissism right there.
It is a little bit, but there's something to be said about it's really hard to be one of these guys in the military. I don't know if special ops is even delineated from your regular infantryman. It's really hard to go to war and be in a battlefield on guys who have multiple races around you, and you're supposed to be racist like that.
Well, no. There are plenty of come on. There are plenty of racists in sports. There are plenty of dudes who played sports their whole life, colored boys, and they were good teammates. And it doesn't change you. That's no. I'm
not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying
I'm saying it's impossible to serve and not be around people. So you shouldn't be rewarded for it. Which you're kind of giving him credit for that. How could he serve? Because he had no choice. He had to serve with black people.
Okay, so I believe that there's more people who were cured of any latent racism they took into the battlefield than the other way around.
All right. Hey, for a minute here though, let's address what Leslie says here. Drunks show their true colors. Do you believe that? Do you believe that's a true statement? I mean, I know that's a statement people say. I've heard it a million times. It seems a little programmed. Do you think that's true?
That's a little bit of a loaded statement, because if you mean by drunk show their true colors, that just because Robert O'Neill said the N-word while he was completely wasted, that means he's inherently a racist guy who thinks white people are superior to black
I
people.
think that's unfair.
Yeah, I don't think you can come to that conclusion, but that's the rules that you live under as a white guy in modern America. And if you're not aware of that, you're stupid. So just don't say it, no matter how drunk you get or how angry you get. No one's going to take your explanation on how inherently in your heart you know you're not a racist person. No one's going to believe you. After you say that word, no one's going to believe you.
But what do you think of that adage that drunks show their true colors? That when somebody is drunk and they're talking all kinds of nonsense, that's really who they are.
Well, it's really who they are, and the fact that there's a guy who got pissed off by a security guard when he was drunk, and so he said the words that he thought would hurt him the most. I don't think Robert O'Neill is inherently a racist. I don't think.
Yeah, no, but I'm not specifically talking about Robert O'Neill. I'm talking generally about that statement. Do you believe that drunks show their true colors?
I say yes, but there's people who have gone through traumatic experiences, like sort of PTSD causing experiences where demons come out when they're drunk, and it's not really their true colors.
Right.
They just lose their ability to control the demons.
That is exactly it. That is you are exactly right. It doesn't show your true colors. It shows your darkest colors. That's what alcohol does.
Well, for me, I don't have any horribly traumatic experience. So if you get around me, it is just me and my true colors. I'll tell you.
No, it's relative, James. It's what the mood you're in before you get drunk. It's not your true colors. It's your darkest colors, because nobody could, on your worst drunk binge or, whatever, you're picking a fight in a parking lot at 2 a.m. That's not who you are. And if that's how you're being defined, that's unfair. That's just your darkest moment. You're sober 98% of the time. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree. I don't agree with that. And I've heard that my entire life. Drunks show their true colors. I'm like, man, I've said some pretty ugly things to people when I was drunk. And I don't think I'm an ugly person like that. I think I'm capable of it, and it comes out when I'm drunk.
Yeah, there's people though who have a level of depth in their drunk digression that I just don't have.
Alcoholics. Yeah.
Well, it's people who are alcoholics and they're drinking to dull the pain of some sort of trauma that they've experienced, usually in childhood. So if someone was beaten by their dad in childhood, they get drunk and all of a sudden they want to get in a fight. It comes out. This demon comes out. This violence that has been programmed into them comes out. Well, I don't have inherent violence or sexual proclivities or any sort of abuse, or I didn't see 5 people get shot in front of.
You got nothing. You got nothing, which is why you're so intolerable as a grown up. You've got nothing.
I just get drunk and I'm like, you're pretty or you're ugly. Like, I just get really honest, but it's not mean spirited. It's just like, you're fat, just.
All right, you had a story that you were going to tell, something that you wanted to close with. You got a closer, James?
Yeah, this is a closer because this is kind of a cute little story here. So my wife and I have this marriage thing down pat. It's so freaking easy. You people with your failed marriages, y'all all need to
see what I mean, folks. See, that's the end.
Come over to my house and take notes. Me and my wife have it all figured out. So the way it works we have 4 kids and 2 of them are already old enough to be in band. So what we've decided is that wife goes to the meeting, dad goes to the work. So wife goes to the band booster meetings where we find out this is where we're having a fundraiser, and this is when the trip to Six Flags is, and this is when the concert is, and this is blah, blah, blah. We need chaperones for the away game or whatever. And then wife, he signs up me to work at the concession stand at the football game on Friday.
Not cool. That's not part of the arrangement.
No, it's fine. She goes to the meetings. I do.
By the way, I just wrote you a joke, but go ahead, tell your story. I'll tell you the joke I just wrote you about this scenario for you.
Good. No, I don't mind at all. Listen, if you live in Bog Tussle, being stuck in a concession stand at some point is in your future, and you know it's coming because you go to a lot of concession stands. There's a whole lot of more concession stand action in Bug Tussle than if you live in a big city. You eat a lot more meals at concession stands out here.
Yeah, do you? Because there's not like a Sonic and a Taco Bell and a Kentucky Fried Chicken right across the street.
We do have a Sonic and a Whataburger really close.
No, but you know what I mean? Like when you pull, I pull out of games in like Plano and McKinney, and it's like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
in
there's
Vegas.
everything. There's
It's like I'm in Vegas. What do we want to eat? There's literally everything on Preston Road.
We do not have that. In fact, we do not have a Taco Bell in Bug Tussle, but we do have a Whataburger and a Sonic, so we can get by. We don't have a McDonald's either. That's weird. Anyway,
couldn't live without.
Not in Bug Tussle. No. Look, you have in Bug Tussle, you'll have a Dairy Queen before a McDonald's. That's how it works out here.
I gotta live within walking distance of a McDonald's. It's a rule. So that's how urban I will always be. I have to live. That's my thing. I have to be able to walk to a McDonald's.
All right. So something cool happened though. So my older 2 kids are in band, but I have 2 kids younger than that. And I was going to leave for the football game. I had to go a little early because I got to go help set up the concession stand. And the way it works is the first crew works from setup through halftime, and the second crew comes in at the beginning of halftime and closes the joint down at the end. And so you're overlapping in halftime, so there's twice as many people there when the lines are super long. So it's a beautiful system that these chicks have everything thought of. But this is not new to me. When I was a kid, when I was out at the original Bug Tussle, which is a different Bug Tussle from where I'm at now, dude, I worked in the concession stand probably 50 times as a kid.
Did you wear a paper hat?
Hell no. So
did you really work at a concession stand then?
Yes. So, what do you think? There's health codes. There's inspectors.
I just wanted to picture you in a little paper white hat. Go ahead.
Well, we don't even have zoning enforcement or anything in Bug Tussle. It's the Wild West out here. It's great. So my third kid, who's 10 years old, he wanted to go with me. I'm like, what do you want to do? I'm going to work in the concession stand. Yeah, I want to go with you. I'm like, well, you can't just run around like a madman. If you're going to come with me, you're going to work in the concession stand. He's like, yes, that's what I want to do. I'm like, okay. So I kind of expect him when we get there to say, boy, this sucks, and bug out, because he's the guy. There's like 4 kids that are at the back of the concession stand that when someone orders, you just yell at the back, you're like, root beer, blue Powerade, and the kids run it up to you, and you can tell these other people to get you cheese fries or nachos or whatever, and they give it to you. And so I'm just the guy taking the order and doing math. I was at the front. So little kid sticks with me through the whole thing, right? And we stay past our shifts. We wait till the line dies down after halftime, and we really don't get out of there till the 4th quarter. And he stuck it out. I mean, we were sweating. It was 106 degrees. There were fans blowing on us, but it was really hot in there, and it was pretty miserable. But it was for a good cause, and everyone's polite, and everyone's positively encouraging him, like, hey, thanks for your help, or oh, you're so fast, or when we're done, like, you don't see your kids working hard almost ever, right?
No.
I didn't even motivate him to do anything. So I don't know what motivated him to do it, but I was like, thank you for sticking it out and waiting until I was done. And he said, thank you for making me do it. And I don't know what's going on now. I don't know. My 10-year-old just all of a sudden think it's cool that he was working at a concession stand. And so about the time we're leaving, my youngest comes up to me. She's 7. She's about to turn 8 in a week. She'll be 8. And she's like, oh, he left? Well, then is there an opening? So I had to go back to the concession stand because she saw her brother running drinks and she wanted to run drinks.
Oh.
So we had this sort of Tom Sawyer moment here where these kids were doing chores like it was some sort of privilege, like it was fun. Like, hey, I got to run drinks in the concession stand. What'd you get to do? They're weird, man. Kids are weird.
That sounds idyllic. That sounds like a utopian description of rural America. Of course, I might argue that instead of exploiting the children for no pay, maybe you could have hired some immigrants and given back, huh? Maybe the boosters pay somebody minimum wage, some migrant.
Yeah,
you're exploiting children.
If the parents just show up and eat it, all the money that would have gone to some filthy immigrant goes to the band trip to Six Flags. Isn't that better?
Yeah, that is better. And by the way, all right, here's the joke I wrote for you. All right, so here's what you say. You say, I don't know, you word it in your own flavor. But basically it's I grew up and I don't have any trauma, but that's okay because my kids are all in band, so they're sure to have some. God. You can word it any way you want, and it's just off the top of my head. That's funny. Your band kids are going to be traumatized. You didn't get any trauma. See, that's the joke. You were bragging about how you escaped, but then the reality is that your kids are in band. It's funny because, all right, good night, everybody.
Your kid's playing football, so he's probably getting hazed where something gets put up his butt. Like 4 hours ago, he had something up his butt.
Yeah, they do gay stuff. Football teams are always getting in trouble for doing gay stuff. I'm like, you guys don't do any gay stuff, do you? He's like, what do you mean? I go, nah. I mean, I did. I asked him because we, we're from Chicago, so we're familiar with Northwestern. I don't know if you're familiar with the big Northwestern recent hazing incident that got their coach
right.
fired.
I remember that on the show. Yeah.
So we were talking about that because Coach Fitzgerald, pretty good coach, and he's like, so why did Coach Fitch get fired? And I go, well, because of this. And then we started talking about it, and he was shocked, dude. When I was explaining what hazing is, he was like an innocent little deer. He's like looking at me, and he's like, they do that? Nobody's doing that to me. And I'm like, yes, you keep that attitude. Nobody is doing that to you. Because somebody tries to do that to you and you fight to the death, they're in a court in the land that's going to convict you. You are going to be fine. So, right. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to hear another? God, geez, you think the world has just spoiled him and you're shocked by their innocence. So he was number 69 in his practice uniform. And did I tell you this story?
On purpose?
Yeah, because they didn't have his game number. His game number is 54, and they didn't have his game number, so the practice jerseys were different, so he just grabbed 69. So he showed it to me, and I made a joke on texting. I'm like, really? Is that your number? Okay, ha, ha, ha. And he sent back, ha, ha, ha. And then we're driving back from the game, and I say to him, I go, so what's going on with the number, man? Like, why did you pick 69? Like, I'm kind of joking, like suggesting that he knew, because I thought he knew.
He didn't know.
He turns to me and he goes, it's because that's the year you were born. Oh, my God.
Oh, man, my kids know what that is. They won't shut up.
He didn't know. And he's so innocent, and he was so sweet, and it was just such a nice moment. I was just boy. Oh, God. And he still does it. It's not like I explained it to him. I'm not weird.
Right. I think my kids had it explained to them on the bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I learned.
But tussle. Less to look at while you're driving in the bus. More time for the kids to spoil one another's brains.
Well, because someone said 69 and someone else said, ha, ha, ha. And my kid went, why is that funny? And let me tell you a story, kiddo. That's how I learned.
Hold on a second. All right, we gotta get out of here. There's something new on TV that I want to watch. Oh, James, telemarketers. Have you seen that yet? Are you watching that?
No.
I told you to watch Telemarketers on HBO Max. It's a 3-part documentary series about these two crazy dudes that used to be telemarketers who try and take down the industry. It's great. It's really fun. That's my suggestion to you folks. James, anything? What are you watching? What can you suggest to people?
We're still in the middle of Suits. It's okay, but it's a piece of candy. It's very lazily written, but everyone's beautiful and everyone's got a witty punchline to put a button on every conversation. It's just so perfect. It's like Entourage. I thought you bailed on Suits. I haven't yet. We're still going on it. It's fine. The other thing I'm watching right now is Eastbound and Down, and I don't understand why this didn't win every Emmy,
every award. Right? That's what I say when I watch. Like when I watch shows like Eastbound and Down, What We Do in the Shadows, or It's Only Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm like, why are other people even trying to make shows? Like, why? Why not just let these 3 people who've made these 3 shows make everything?
Right. It makes me want to quit.
Yeah. All right. Say goodbye, James.
Goodbye.
All right, folks. I'm thinking tomorrow's show should be at the high noon show. Should be at the regular time noon. Hoping, fingers crossed. But again, this is a week of disruption. So I appreciate you hanging with me. I will do something. I'll always do something. I'll always do a show. It's just, over the next couple of weeks, it might be at 2:00. It might be starting at 1:30. It might start at 12:30, whatever. You know what I mean? So I appreciate your patience, and we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
don't need no 401. I don't have their greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.